In June 2013, it was reported that Sony Pictures is closing in on a deal to acquire Captain Planet franchise. This franchise was like, this cartoon was huge back in the early 90s. Like if you were born in the mid 80s or late 80s like me, and it was like for your target audience when it was like huge in the early 90s, like other cartoon or other shows like Clarissa Explains It All, A Different World. Captain Planet was like the recycling superhero, but like as soon as you got to like 10 or 11 you hated the show, but it's still, or it isn't it, or it wasn't as cool if you watched it or whatnot. Because they'd always do these like info commercials at the end, like of like the kids cleaning oil off like a pelican, or untrapping a duck that was caught in like a 6-pack like wrapper. It's about the 5 kids from 5 different continents who have these elemental powers through their rings. Earth, wind, water, fire, heart. Including like a kid from Brooklyn who's like 12. A kid from Ghana. The blonde girl is from like Russia with the accent. And there was so many huge, I don't even remember there being this many big name actors. If you could look on the list of voiceover actors, talents that were involved in this show back in the early 90s to mid 90s, including Martin Sheen, Danny Glover, Mark Hamill, who was Luke Skywalker, who like pretty much started his voiceover career in the early 90s. He was huge, played the Joker. Even Danica McKellar. I think the villain is definitely got to be Dr. Blight. The blonde, scarred. Who did she remind me? She always reminded me of like Joker's girlfriend from Batman '89 with the half scarred face. She's the mad scientist. She would always say things like, "Alright, we've now polluted every drop of water in a 100-mile radius." And what else? And then she'd be like, "Oh, now on to phase 2. Burn the coal hoard that's stashed in Tennessee until it becomes smoke to pollute the air." And Captain America wouldn't even show up. Oh, this is a picture of her. Yeah, now you remember her. Pink suit, comb over the face of the scar. I guess Meg Ryan voiced her. I didn't even know that. And then she was like, "Oh, I can't waste my youth." And she left like within a year. And I think the other woman who did it is more known and she did a better job. At least darker. You just think of romantic comedies when Meg Ryan is doing the voice. There's highlights of the whole of Dr. Blight on YouTube you can look up. You know they're just gonna end up hiring like Charlize Theron to play Dr. Blight, and they gotta have her computer henchman. I don't even remember his name. Tim Curry is the one who voiced it though. And you know Captain Planet, he looked like Joey Lawrence with a green mullet. But you know they're gonna hire like Mark Wahlberg or some really commercial. They're gonna make this really kid oriented probably and really commercial. And they didn't even confirm if it was gonna be live action, which I'm assuming it is, if they're gonna announce a big deal for a future film with a big name producer like Mark Gordon involved. And I guess the 2 other producers, Don Murphy and Susan Montford, they tried to develop a live-action version of the show on Cartoon Network in like '08 or something, but never got it off the ground. I don't even see how this could even work in live action. And then everyone's gonna mention Don Cheadle, and it was like an internet meme or something. I don't even know the origins of it. where someone dresses him up as Captain America and or Captain Planet and he's blowing up crap. Everyone had that hairdo in the early 90s. This like pretty much is the epitome of the early 90s. This image. Actually, you're missing the kid from A Different World and Zach from Saved by the Bell. And the kid from Different World with the sideways hat and the flipped up glasses. Yeah, so obviously this deal is just announced. You know how it goes. This could take 6 years. It could take 2 years at least. So any other updates and casting updates I hear, I'll put in the description. This was JBM from VillainNews. I'm out.